Love. Some would say it took a backseat when the pandemic forced us apart. As a family-run and proudly Canadian-owned company, Charm Diamond Centers saw the need to bring us together with tales of love and created the Canadian Love Map podcast. Since then, we've shared hundreds of real, uplifting stories that prove love conquers all. So thank you for listening. We couldn't do it without you. And remember, love starts here.
For love stories, ours is the best love story ever, and it's a unique one because it involves such a large group of people who probably never intended to seek out an extended family, and lo and behold, it was love at first sight.
Welcome to the Canadian Love Map, a podcast that celebrates love stories of all kinds, presented by Canada's largest family-owned jeweler, Charm Diamond Centers. What is the definition of family? Today, our understanding of this social structure has changed so much from the Leave It to Beaver model of the 1950s. In this week's episode of the Canadian Love Map, we speak to an amazing group who have defined family in their own way. Nearly 15 years ago, a small group of adoptive parents traveled to an orphanage in Guiping, southern China. They each welcomed 11-month-old babies into their lives, but that was just the beginning of their journey. In a mutual pact to raise the girls with a strong sense of sisterhood, the parents themselves discovered an extended family they never knew they needed. We were joined for this fabulous conversation by 3 of the girls, Ava, Emily, and Olivia, and 2 of the mothers, Leanne and Marie. Tell me, girls, about your sisterhood.
We're all like not real sisters, I guess, but we consider ourselves sisters just like a regular biological family would. So we like share clothes. Just here we were sharing lip balm, like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, all the sister things you would do, hang out, make plans, call each other on a daily basis.
Awesome.
I mean, it's good because we all see each other pretty, like, regularly. It's pretty good. We hang out and stuff.
You probably have no secrets from each other.
Not very many. No.
Let's get all the secrets out on the table right now. What do you say?
No. It's okay.
Just kidding. Maybe you girls can describe each other. What do you think?
Sure, sounds good.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, go for it.
So I'll explain Emily. Me and Emily are super close. She loves sports. She plays soccer, ringette, and is going to play hockey this year. She's very athletic. She's really funny. We have probably the same humor.
Crazy.
Yeah. And same music taste. She loves country music mostly. So, Ava?
Yeah, I'll do Ava. Ava is very talented in many ways. She is an amazing baker, and she's athletic. She does baseball, which personally I could never do, so I give her props for doing that very well. You're smart, extremely smart. Your math skills are very high. I could not keep up.
Okay, Ava. Olivia, go.
So Olivia, she's very supportive of everyone, and I love her. She's always trying to FaceTime and like, hey, want to talk? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk. It may take a few tries. She's very good at like
holding us together.
Yeah, she's kind of like holding all of us together.
Is she the glue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back and tell me where this love story started.
It started in a boardroom in downtown Halifax, where 5 families, actually 6 families at the time, were there to meet. We had all hired the same adoption facilitator to see us through the journey to bring the girls home. And she held meetings once a month. And we were grouped together, and we were all there for the first meeting, and none of us knew each other. And it was a little awkward at first because it's you're there for a very emotional reason, and you're with a lot of strangers. So it was really like a business meeting at first, and everybody went around the table introducing each other. And afterwards, years later, we talk about that first day because we all made assumptions about each other, and right, some were right, some were really way off. But that's how we first met. And after 9 months, the meetings were over, and we were left to our own emotions and wants and wishes and wanting it to happen on our own. And that's really when we started to come together as a group to support each other through that waiting and going to those meetings. It was going to the meetings, and then after a meeting or two during the breaks, we'd stop and talk and ask, "Oh, what do you do? What does your husband do?" And then it was, "Well, you know what? Let's go for coffee after the meeting." And then it was, "Well, let's meet for brunch before the meeting and then go for coffee after the meeting. Well, you may as well come to our house now and just stay for supper." And then it became a real social event for us every month.
So the relationship was formed before the girls even arrived on the scene.
Yeah, we spent after the first summer, I guess, that we were together. It would have been a number of months in. We went camping. We actually all the families, just hanging out and being around the campfire and playing games and it just continued from there. We just kept getting together socially and then eventually it was time to go get the girls.
We were together first as strangers, and it took 18 months to bring the girls home. So the parents developed a friendship, and definitely the mothers developed a sisterhood long before we were lucky enough to meet the girls and bring them home.
Tell me about that. First of all, the going to China and bringing them home.
Oh, go ahead.
It was joyful and traumatic, I think, at the same time. We were all nervous, like for the moms. None of the moms we were first-time parents, so you're, just like any parent who becomes a parent for the first time, you're wondering, can I do this? We were wondering, can I do this in a foreign country, where we didn't really know what to expect. But I would say, for all of us, it was, love at first sight. Like just the minute we held our girls, we were, just so excited to have finally reached that point. There was some crying and tears from some more than others, the girls, because it was a very difficult experience for them, but it sure didn't take long for them all to bond and for families to become families, and then for the larger family to continue to bond. So, I mean, we were in China in each other's hotel rooms, with the girls crawling around on the floor and playing with each other. And that has continued, to today,
How old were they?
11 months old.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, they really were crawling around on the floor. I have this image of this scene now with 5 of them. Yeah. And was there a moment when you thought, oh, what do we do now? Here we've got these babies, these 5 babies.
Every moment.
But the good part was there was somebody you could always say, like, is this happening to you? Or, I mean, you guys went through issues with like sleep, coming home, like getting your daughter to sleep, or, and you had that person that you could call and say, what are you doing? How are you making it work?
Yeah. And I can't speak to what the situation is now, but, 14 years ago, there really wasn't any support groups or support system in place for families adopting internationally. Unlike if you were to go to the hospital, there's usually a follow-up visit with a nurse to help you, with feeding your baby and making sure. And there's none of that. You get off the plane and you come home, and that's it.
Wow.
So there was lots of days where, those Friday play dates, that's what they were for. And I couldn't wait for Friday to come. And there were some days where you just plunked them all in the middle of the floor, and the rest of them, the moms sat around, and we just kind of stared at them and stared at each other.
And were the girls close from, day one almost?
I think they've been close, as close as, any kids who grow up knowing each other for their entire life. I mean, we started out with those, weekly play dates on Friday, but we've done family traveling and trips together. 3 of our families went back to China when the girls were 8 and spent a month traveling through China together. Every summer we go and spend, 3 or 4 days in, Prince Edward Island together. They're together a lot, and that's just physically together. That now, since in the last 2 or 3 years, it's all the social media connection that they have with each other too. So they spend hours reaching out to one another.
So you don't all have to be in the same place to be together now, do you, girls?
No.
I've been getting a kick out of watching your reactions while the mothers are speaking. And I wish that we had a camera trained on them because it's quite entertaining, I've got to tell you. All right, girls, tell me the story from your perspective.
I feel like when we came back from the orphanage, everyone had this connection anyway, because like they said, the orphanage was saying that we were sleeping in the same cribs, and I don't remember a time when we weren't sisters, I guess, or we weren't always together, and it just kept going, so.
Yeah, I feel like we don't have a problem calling each other sisters from day one, and it's grown like that, and I feel we hang out as a group and get together and stuff, but we also like to hang out individually too, depending on our interests.
Yeah, I think it's had a big influence on everyone's lives. I think that, it's obviously changed since we came back from China as little kids. We have mutual friends, and that keeps us very close. And yeah, it holds itself together pretty well. We FaceTime weekly, usually, most of us, and we stay together.
Me and Emily live within similar school districts, so we have a lot of mutual friends, and everyone knows, like, oh, that's Emily, oh, and that's Emily's sister Olivia, and everyone kind of knows that we're sisters.
Are people intrigued? Do they think you're real sisters, or are they intrigued by the story?
We get a lot of questions on that.
Yeah, because we call each other China sisters. China sisters or sisters, and people are like, oh, what's a China sister? And you kind of have to explain the story. Depending on who it is, you give the short or the long version. So,
Yeah. A couple of teachers, pull me aside to clarify what was happening. And so, yeah.
But I think about, in the old days, adoption was so different. And it was surrounded in stigma often and secrecy. I know of a 50-year-old woman, girls, imagine this, 50-year-old woman whose mother died, and it was only going through her mother's papers that she discovered she had been adopted. So no one told her whole life. And I love the fact that it's one of many advancements we're making in our society in terms of how we deal with emotion and everything, that we are celebrating it rather than, why would you ever want to be quiet about it?
Oh, no, we're never quiet about that. It's the thing I like to talk about most is my family.
And now families are all different shapes and sizes, and you can't categorize a certain family, and what is a family? You can't really define that. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, you choose who your family is.
I think it's interesting that people are like, oh, your real mom from China. I'm like, no, that's not my real mom. My real mom is Maria Carty. That is my real mom.
Okay, we might have to take a break so I can just cry for a bit now. You already got me started by showing me these books. We might pop a couple of pictures on our Instagram or something, because they've got these amazing picture books that Maria does every year, apparently. So everyone sends you pictures?
Yeah.
Tell me about this project.
I guess it started when we first went to China. I needed a way to keep all of the memories and keep them in a place that we could look at them. I grew up, back in the days when you had photo albums, and your parents printed off pictures and they stuck them in the plastic sleeves, and you'd go through them and you'd look at all the old, pictures of you growing up. And so I wanted to have that, for Emily, for when when she was older. And so I made the first book about our trip to China, and you do it online and you send away and they print it off and it comes in an orange package, and then you have this keepsake. And after the first one, then we decided to make a book about the first year. And then
that one's called The Girls of Guiping.
Yeah.
Which is the town or city?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Guiping is in the province of Guangxi, which is in southern China. And so, for a long time, we referred to them as the Gigi's, the Guiping Girls.
Yeah.
And then
I love that. Yeah. There was a poem or a line about a red thread.
That's that picture on the book.
Okay, tell me about the red thread.
So it's a Chinese proverb that says, all of the people who you are meant to meet in your life, you are connected by an invisible red thread. And that thread may tangle or not, but it will never break. And it will lead you to the people who are meant to be in your life. And so we use that all the time because these girls were meant to be in our life. And I talked to Ava about it a lot. And there's obviously neither one of us knew we were meant to be together, but we were, and that thread found us. And
so beautiful. Who went to China?
Me, Ava, and Sadie went to China.
Went back to visit.
Yeah. So you were 8 years old at the time.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that trip and what you remember?
I remember getting on the plane. I remember it took like 3 planes to get to the arrival spot. And when we arrived, I met up with Emily at like a hostel. And it was really interesting there.
I remember a lot of different random things, like drinking out of juice boxes, but not juice. It was milk, and it was warm, and it was kind of gross. But no, I remember a lot of different memories that we made together. It was an interesting experience seeing where you were like originally from. I think it's pretty cool to go back there and see that, especially with people that you consider family.
So did you go to Guiping?
Yeah, we went right back to the orphanage.
You went to the orphanage?
Yeah, we got to visit inside and that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the babies, but we did get to go in and see the orphanage.
And what was that like, walking into that building, knowing that you had all been babies there?
Well, it was interesting. I mean, I was 8, so I was I wasn't scared, but it was like, oh, well, I don't really recognize it. Like, I was so young. I mean, it just feels like another place. But at the same time, it feels like maybe I have been here. Maybe.
What was your favorite memory from that trip?
What I enjoyed was I remember eating noodles for like 3 weeks straight. That was something. And going on crazy long bus rides that turned
Bowl
in
of
from
noodles.
like 3 hours into like 13-hour bus rides. And getting corn from McDonald's. That was a really good memory.
Okay, that really is hilarious that's a memory from China.
To an 8-year-old, corn at McDonald's was a big thing.
yes.
I get it.
Yeah.
We've talked about this young sisterhood, and we've talked about what it was like when your girls were babies. That sisterhood among the moms has really blossomed over the years.
So in spending so much time cultivating our daughter's sisterhood, we very quickly developed our own. But now there's this whole
Just
social friendship piece, right? And we're always planning trips and dinners and more trips. And these women are a mainstay in my life. And like the girls, I can't manage without the moms either.
We didn't really talk about the dads.
No.
Anything we should say about the dads?
Hi, Dad.
That's good. We covered it.
They're pretty important.
Yeah, the
part
dads
of the story.
The dads
They
support everyone the same as the moms, and they're just not as vocal about it.
Yeah.
They prefer to sit and watch soccer while the moms drink wine on the beach, but that's their preference.
What do you girls hope for your future? And have you talked about sticking together or staying nearby? What have you talked about?
I can't ever see us losing connection at all. We're definitely always probably going to talk, and probably get together. I could live with probably any of these girls just because we're together so much. I could picture myself living with them maybe temporarily or something like that in an apartment or like if we need to.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see if we go on the same career paths too. See if we'll see each other later in the work field.
I think it's cool. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to lose a connection with them, even if someone moves or someone does something different with their lives. You can't control what other people do. So you have to work with it. So hopefully everything works out in the end and we all stay connected. I mean, if I have a problem with the university, I can call anyone. I have 5 sisters.
When we're older and we have our own families, I would hope that our kids would be close together like us and do fun things and go on adventures and stuff.
That's exciting to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're probably going to end up exactly like our mom. So, they're not sleeping. Is yours sleeping?
Thank you for having us. I think we all enjoyed it, and it's our first time being on a podcast, and you made us feel really comfortable, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
You're so welcome. Thanks so much for listening to the Canadian Love Map. If you love us, please subscribe and share. We'll be back next week with another love story to add to the map. This podcast is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, Canada's largest family-owned jewelry store. They are proud to be putting love on the map, and the staff at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story too. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. This podcast is made possible by Charm Diamond Centers. It's hosted by me, Nancy Regan, and is produced and distributed by Podstarter.